Welcome back to College Hill Farm. Well, here we are out at kind of the transition to my field. Down there's the tractor shed. Over here's my other garden. Here's the goat shed that's still in the progress of being built. Down here's my garden, and my tractor quit doing anything right here. And what I've done is I've sprung a hydraulic leak, and I'm so glad it's kind of here in a level spot, because man, you don't want to crawl under them things and it not be level. So it's time to get under here. Let's get under here and see what's wrong, and then we'll see if we can fix it. I know it's a hydraulic leak, so I don't know where. I know about where. I kind of looked at it before I had to walk down to the house to get the truck, and I drove the truck back up here. All right, well, there it is. This hose comes down through here. This is a steel hose, steel line, and right down there's a steel line, and it looks like there's a rubber transition that goes from front to back. So that's popped loose. So looks like it's just a little thing holding it on. So I'll see if I can go ahead and get that off and see if I can go find me one. I bet that is not under pressure, because it's not like a hydraulic hose. So I bet the hydraulic feed comes from here. This hose probably is low pressure that feeds my steering, so that there's hydraulic fluid in the steering. And yeah, it's pretty much drained it. It'll have drained all of it. So that's going to be $150 worth of hydraulic fluid I'm going to have to put back in the tractor. Welcome to homesteading. That's just what happens. You know, you can't be afraid of this stuff. You just have to roll with the flow. I assume I got a stick or something up in here as I was mowing this morning, and I mow through some heavy brush and stuff, so that's probably a weak point. So yeah, poop. Alright, you don't need to watch. I'll just get a wrench and take that hose clamp loose and pull that off, and probably go and hunt another one. I don't know if it's a hose clamp I need. That I would say this rubber thing is busted, or else it wouldn't have come out. Okay, right there's the culprit. It looks okay. It looks like I could just get a new clamp and put it back on, but the truth is, I am betting that baby has a pinhole in it somewhere and got it to leaking around where the clamps were and allowed it maybe to blow off. Okay, so I don't know why they connect up something this way, but it's just what they do. Okay, I've got hydraulic fluid all over me, so let's go get $150 worth of hydraulic fluid, because about all of it's gone. That was almost at the bottom of the tank. So yeah, that's what I'm doing this morning. I thought I was mowing. Welcome to homesteading. It is the next morning. It's about 46 degrees out here this morning. It's a little nippy, and of course the culprit yesterday was this piece of pipe. It's just a piece of flexible hose. It may have actually been arranged that way. This is part of the return hydraulic fluid system. Now, there are two steel tubes that come from the hydraulic pump, which is at the front of the tractor, all the way back to the transmission, where this sends the hydraulic fluid back out of the pump. or back when it needs to be recycled. Okay, this keeps it flowing. Now, what I'm concerned about, yesterday, and the reason it's the next day, is yesterday I had a heck of a time finding this part. My local Mahindra dealer is all the way in London, but their main office is in Hazard, Kentucky, and that's 2.5 hours away. And I didn't want to fool with going there to get this one little piece of hose. So I thought I could get it locally. And I bought 2 pieces of hose. I bought them a foot long. But the only 2 sizes I could get was 3/4 and 7/8. And I think this is 7/8. Okay, it might not be. It might be 3/4 that's just misshapen some over time. Okay, this is 3/4. Put that up there where you can see it. Okay, and then this is 7/8. My 7/8 is bent a little bit where I had to cut it. 7/8. So I've got these two pieces of pipe, but what I'm concerned about, those are just 2 pieces of pipe that come together. Y'all have to slide one of these over that one, and then once it's past it, I can put it here and then slide it back and then clamp between the 2. But what I'm concerned about is, and remember, I taught hydraulics and pneumatics. What I'm concerned about is there should be no pressure on that return hydraulic line. It should just go straight to the reservoir. Now, according to their diagram, now I've got a repair manual. It's not really a repair manual, it's more like a technical manual. Okay, here's from the manual. Right there's the little part I replaced. And right here it says that there's a filter. And it was there. I showed it to you. Cool. I didn't think it was there. I didn't realize that this was screwed in and went all the way in. It actually fastens in right back over here. Right back in there. It's got all the schematics and all the break apart drawings and all that stuff. Very poorly written. Very poorly identified as to what's where. There are no arrows. It just puts a circle with a number so that you can look and see what the stuff is. And I'll try and put a picture of this system up. But the problem that I ran into is that my gear tractor, I cannot get a technical manual for it. I can only get a technical manual for the 22 and 25 HST transmissions. I don't have one for the gear tractors. I'm assuming that it's mostly the same, but not. For example, it says that the HST tractor has a hydraulic fluid filter. Well, according to Mahindra, there is no hydraulic fluid filter on this gear tractor. When I try and buy the filter, it says there isn't one. And I say that's true because I've looked for it. So, as a young man, tractors never had a hydraulic fluid filter, okay? The transmission fluid was just what it was, and it ran all of its hydraulics, and it didn't have a filter. You had an oil filter and an air filter, and that was it. Well, that's pretty much, I've got an oil filter, an air filter, and a fuel filter for this Mahindra. So I've never had to change the fuel filter yet. I've got one, but I've never had to change it. And I've got an air filter that I haven't had to change but one time in 8 years. But I've got an extra one. And I've got an oil filter. You change oil filters every other oil change. So when you do an oil change, in 100 hours, you do an oil change, and then at 200 hours, you do an oil and filter change. So I'm due for a filter change this next oil change. To be honest, I do 150 hours. So really, I change oil about every 2 years on this tractor. Now, what I'm concerned with is there should be no pressure in that return line. If there's pressure, I'm hoping that what blew this off, you saw how it was off on one side. I'm hoping that what took that off is a stick that got stuck in up under the tractor as I was mowing or something, and it just knocked that off. Or that the clamp failed. There's a clamp on each end of this, and one clamp was missing. But of course it would be missing if the thing was off. So it's possible that just a clamp failed. Now, I dropped the right rear wheel in a pretty big hole just before I brought it up here, and it lost its hydraulic fluid. Now, it's quite possible that I jerked that hose off mostly, and then there was enough pressure. The backup pressure going back to the tank should be basically nothing. It's basically a flow port. But if that got crimped a little bit, that hose got crimped a little bit, you know, like, let's say this hose got crimped up, it got bent up like that, where the back pressure couldn't flow off, then that would blow it off. Does that make sense? So that, I'm hoping that's what happened. But if it wasn't, that means that I've got a blockage somewhere in that return line, which could be trouble, because there's no filter there. I'm going to look again and see if there might be a filter, but I don't think there's a filter there. So that's where I'm at. I'm going to spread out a tarp, because out here in the field, the grass is wet as it can be. It's Appalachia. It's Kentucky, central Kentucky, just at the edge of Appalachia, really, in my opinion. But it's central Kentucky, and I think that if you don't put something down, you're just going to get wet. And I don't feel like being wet this morning. It's like 46 degrees. Wet and cold is not what I do. I don't want to do that. So let's get over here and put this little piece of hose on and get filled up. I got to go back. Doggone it. I got to go back to the shop, back to the tractor shed, and get the stupid funnel. I forgot the funnel. Okay. I'll see you by the tractor. Okay. Here's my hose. This is a steel line that goes back and into here. This is the return port. It doesn't appear that there's any filter here. It's just a return port. So yeah. So it's one of those things that I'm going to lubricate up this part with the little bit of hydraulic fluid that's there, so that these hoses will slide on as easy as possible. Get out an extra clamp. I bought an extra clamp to go on here. Go on this side because that clamp was missing. Pull it there like that so it's out of the way. Now, let's see which one of these hoses will fit on there. I'm going to start off with the 7/8. Alright, that needs to pull down out of the way some, so I can start that. Ow. This may be harder than it looks. Oh! Looks like this is going to be tough. Well, I don't want to put the other one back on. Just to be honest. I might have to though. I can't get this one on there. At the end of that tube, look what I found. That appears to be a hydraulic fluid filter, but it doesn't appear to be clogged. Okay? I can see right through it. So it did have a filter. That's good. This was at the end of the tube on the back, at the back of the tractor. Okay, my hands are all covered. I'd turn it around where you could see it. This just unscrewed and pulled out. So it does have a hydraulic fluid filter. But now I can see through this, so there shouldn't be any reason why that hydraulic fluid was not flowing correctly. Okay, so I'm going to put this back in. Oh! I'll turn you around here. My hands are all covered with hydraulic fluid. I don't want to get it all over the camera, but try and turn you around here where you can see. This was right here. Okay? Right there. Now, I was in hopes that by loosening that, I could lower this tube and angle this in, but that doesn't appear to be the case. So, I'm going to screw this baby back in without cross-threading it, I hope. Okay. Oh, yeah, I did loosen it too. Oh! Let me take this back out. I'm going to set it over here on my tarp so it don't get stuff on it. Is that fastened to anything there? Oh, is there a clamp? Yes, there's a bolt right up under here in order to take this loose. So I'm going to see if I can get to it. I think I'm going to have to go get my metric wrenches. Okay, I've got my hands cleaned up, or I can handle the camera now. This is the oil filter. This is the hydraulic fluid filter. Yes, it had one. I didn't see that as a thing, but yes, it has one. So I took this off so I could move the tube, but the tube has another bolt on it holding it still. So I've got to get it. So I brought some metric tools out. So this is where I'm at. I'm not going to be able to show you. It's just too tight under here. So I'm going to do the best I can. But I will show you where the hydraulic filter goes back. And then I probably will go buy one before I put the fluid back in here. That way I'm good for the next 8 or 10 years. Okay. Okay, I got these on. I had to go back to the original. And it pushes all the way up on here on this side, and then you have to push it back, but boy, it's tough. a 7/8 inch pipe wasn't big enough. Okay, so it needs to be bigger than 7/8. I assume it's some kind of metric thing. So now down through here, right here, this tube comes down, and there's a hole right there, and the filter goes in that hole. Let me show you. Hopefully I can do this and hold the camera. This is the filter. Okay, it goes right in here. It's right behind that, right where, as you're sitting in the tractor seat, it's right behind that right rear wheel. There's a little gasket right here. Oh, there's some dirt. Get that off there. Make sure that little gasket's there, little O-ring. Oh. I don't know if I can screw this in. One hand didn't show you, but you see where it's at now. Okay? It's right here. Here's the rear wheel. It's right there. It's just a big bolt that goes into the side. It's got this tube coming out of it. Okay, you got this tube and then there's a bolt. So I'm going to put that back in and then I'll come back to you. The foreman showed up while I was under the tractor. He's such a slave driver. Okay, I'm taking a little break. I'm about too hot. It took me a while. First off, 7/8 nor 3/4 I could make go on there, okay? I couldn't pull them up far enough to where I could put them on the other side. So apparently that's probably a metric thing. It's larger than 7/8. I don't think it's a full inch. Maybe it's 15/16 or maybe it is a full inch in diameter. I don't know. But I could make the 7/8 go up on there and slide up about just a few inches, just a couple of inches. But I couldn't make it go the 4 inches it needed to go go back over the other hose. So I guess that's a full 1 inch pipe, interior diameter. I don't know. So I wound up putting the original part back on there and hoping that it does not have a pinhole in it. I'm hoping that what happened was I caught it and it kinked, and that made back pressure and blew it off. Hoping. But I did learn something new. I've never seen a hydraulic filter that way. I taught hydraulics, remember? So I've seen a whole lot of different ways to do hydraulic filters, but I never saw one built in like that. Apparently you change the whole thing, the screw and all. It's a 7/16, that's a 7/8 inch bolt, 7/8 inch socket that fits on that bolt, and it just screws the whole thing out. And the filter does not come out of anything there. It's not separate. It's all built in as one thing. Now I could see through it, so I'm pretty certain that filter is not clogged. So I'm betting that what happened was I got a stick that pulled that rubber piece and kinked it. And when it kinked, that caused it to build up pressure and blew one side off. That's just my bet. I bet that's exactly what happened. Now, I did not have to take, there's a bolt that holds that, the tube that comes from the filter. There's another bolt. I could take it off and take that whole tube out and then put it back in, but I couldn't get to that bolt. It was just too hard to get to and without taking a bunch of other stuff off. So I just kept working with that hose, the old connector, and kept working it back until I got it past, and then was able to work it back down on there. It was hard. Okay, I was shaking. My arms were shaking. You ever work till you got no more energy and you just start shaking? Well, I was there. But I finally got it back on there and got the clamps on, and it's ready to go. So all I've got to do is add some hydraulic fluid. I'm going to take a little break and add my hydraulic fluid, and then we'll go from there. Okay, right here is where the hydraulic fluid goes. Clean off a little bit around that before I unscrew. You'll see at the back of your tractor, there's that baby right there. So I'm going to get a funnel in here. Try and make it where it won't fall down. Put this where it's going to stay clean. Put it up here. Now, what do I use? I use the Tractor Supply Traveler Premium Tractor Fluid. Okay? You can buy the Mahindra brand too, but Mahindra, my dealer, used to be here in Berea, but they've moved, and it's hard for me to get the Mahindra tractor fluid, universal hydraulic fluid. It says universal hydraulic fluid on it too. So, yeah. So now I'm hoping that it's not all out. I'm hoping there's maybe a gallon left in there or two. I bought 4 gallons. So that's where we're going to start. I put about a gallon in it. We'll check my sight glass. Nope, don't see a drop. Okay, there's 2 gallons. Okay, I think I'm there. So it looks like it held about a gallon. Still had a gallon in it when I shut it down. So I'm going to put my tools up. Always wipe your tools and stuff off, because what happens is, if you don't, next time you go to work, you've got hydraulic fluid all over your fingers before you even do anything. I'll drive it for a minute, and then I'll decide if it needs more. Okay, so alright, let me set this off. Okay, now for the test, we're going to see if my bucket cavitates. I'd say it will. I would say most of the fluid pumped out and we got air. So let's go over here and see what happens. Now, okay, I'll check for leaks. That's got it fixed. Only time will tell. I still think what happened was I got caught with a stick and it squoze that and it caused it to build up back pressure and kicked it off. So now, if you like this stuff, this homesteading, do-it-yourself kind of thing, be certain to come on out to the channel and subscribe. We do this homestead stuff every week, sometimes 1, sometimes 5 videos. Just depends on what's going on in the homestead that week. Now, if you hit the little bell when you come to the channel, it'll be right up here. It'll notify you when we upload a video. We upload on Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. Now, time for me to get on to the next thing and see if I can finish my mowing.